Good morning, everyone. This is Dana Reynolds and Rochelle Reynolds with Master Cut Gems. We're going to do a brief video this morning because we have to keep it within the time constraints of some of the social media outlets. So we're getting ready to show you a few things of my unorthodox manner of cutting that may assist some of the cutters out there that want to do a little bit out of the box cutting. So here we go. This is basically how I set things up or stage my stones as to what I'm going to cut next. Over here, I put them in the categories of the minerals. These are Burmese spinels that will need to be recut. These are sapphires from different locations that will need to be recut. Tourmalines, zircon, peridot. And then over here are just some rough pieces that are staged to be cut. Peruvian rhodochrosite, a weirdo amethyst with some strange kind of unusual inclusions in them that I think would be unusual and neat. A sapphire, a tourmaline, and then an Afghan tourmaline. So these are how I set my things up to stage them for their placement in cutting. So that just kind of gives you an idea how I do things. I just kind of put like with like to recut and then to cut from scratch. So that's basically how I set my little soldiers up before they go into war with the wheel. So that's basically how I do it. Then the next thing I'm going to show you is how I would set something up as a recut.
So is this kind of like your little assembly line?
Kind of, yeah. This is, I have to get things oriented as to get my mind set up to what I want to cut next. And I don't want to cut sapphire after sapphire after sapphire because it does get redundant and a little boring. And I do this because, it is mental therapy as well because we enjoy what we do and we like seeing different gem minerals coming off the block, so to speak, to have that versatility of what our clients would want and also to keep us from getting bored and stagnant in our craft.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. So the next thing is the showing how to recut.
Okay.
Okay. What I have dopped up in the machine right now is a Nigerian tourmaline, kind of a bicolor-ish type mineral. This was bought probably 96, 97, maybe even 98, but it was early on. And this has a Portuguese style pavilion, which is not really noted for returning a lot of brilliance or light. So me not particularly liking that cut on some stones, I have chosen that I'm going to put a 8 main brilliant design on this pavilion to give this gemstone much more return of light and to me a more lively gem. So what I always do when I am buying stones to recut or when I'm buying rough, I want to make sure that I have that 75% depth to width ratio to where I can get a brilliant cut out of that without sacrificing the circumference or the diameter of the gem. So this being a gemstone that is beyond the 75% depth to width ratio, I can take this instead of normally at 40 degrees on a shallow tourmaline, I can bump this one up to 42 degrees. But what I normally do, this is a 96 index. I'll just go ahead and set it up at 96.
Oh, hold on, because I can't see what you're doing. Let me
Okay.
get back over this.
I'll just set it up at 96 and then I'll eyeball it to make sure that, and it's not, that it's going to be north-south 96 and 48. Then I'll be east-west would be to 24 and 72. So once I have lined it up very close by eye, then I know that I can go ahead and turn this to 24, which is, east to west. And that way I can go ahead and set up my angle for 42 degrees. And that is what I will cut in my pavilion mains with. So I've already dopped the stone. I've already aligned it to its proper configuration, east, west, north, south, per the index that I'm using, which I'm using a 96. I use a 96 a lot because it gives me a lot of versatility when I'm wanting to do a recut, because sometimes I have to add facets in to blend into the original cut. So I've got basically a steel 600 grit lap, and that will be my rough and in lap that I'll remove the material. This has got a lot of bulge factor, which means they kept a lot of weight and just bulged it in near the girdle, and then all of a sudden they go all the way to the coolant, and sometimes the angles are off. So sometimes you may have the depth, but you'll get a window effect because the last one or two tiers of facets fell below critical angle. So that being said, now I am ready to set up this gem Tourmaline midway down the pavilion, and I still have probably 3 to 4 millimeters to where I've not even gotten to the coolant area yet, which let me know, but I knew that before I adopted, there was a window-ish scenario going on with this Tourmaline that kept it from, it was a dead stone. And the reason being is they kept all that weight up near the girdle, but then they dropped down below critical angle to finish off the coolant area, which pretty much kills the optical properties of this gemstone. So what I normally do on this is I'll just go until I see that I have actually got to the bottom of the coolant. Once I see that I have that, then I'll rotate it around to 72. And then I have seen that I'm a little bit off, but not terribly so, but I am still touching the coolant or have engulfed the coolant on both sides. So then I know I can go from there and then bring in my other 6 mains, which is, like I said, this is an 8 main, because I like the 8 main or on ovals as well, because it eliminates the blinking that you'll get if you don't carry them all into a center point. You will get some blinking going on, bow tie effects, things of that nature that will alter the beauty of the gemstone, in my opinion. So once I have done that, I now have 8 mains that are all joining together, and I've taken the minimum amount that I have to with the 600. I'll go ahead, stop that from going on, and then I'll move from here to my copper charged 1200 grit lap, which would be for my pre-polish. So this is basically how I go about it. I'm a minimalist. I take the very minimum that I have to on any gemstone, because this is precious material and we do not want to waste it. That's why I do a lot of recuts, is that, I mean, it's great and wonderful to have, you know, this pure, unadulterated, or untouched rough to cut, but there's been a lot of gemstones in the world cut that just did not have the cut that it needed to perform the best that it could. So I feel like this is maybe one of my ways of being able to repurpose these wonderful minerals, these wonderful creations, to where they will have a life later on in another piece of jewelry, and they will not be wasted, and all that work and everything will not have been in vain. But this is basically how I started. What I do next is, like I said, I'll do the pre-polish. I'll cut in my mains. I'll use the pre-polish to cut in all my breaks. Then I will go to a bat lap on a particular gem mineral like this, and I'll use my combination of polish to polish it. And then sometimes I will go back in and I will put a zircon cut or an extra row of facets right at the coolant. But I usually polish those in because they're so small. So this is basically just a little snippet of what I do. We'll do more videos later on, but we just kind of wanted to do something today to let you know how I kind of go about doing things. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for being our friends and our clients. And